See Jesus stripped of majesty. He hangs disfigured on a tree. A man of grief by man betrayed, like one from whom we turn away. Led like a lamb without a sign, in mockery with violence crimed, a sacrificial offering, atoning for his people's sin. Oh, what amazing love! I bow before the cross, my pride reduced to dust. What amazing love! It overwhelms my soul, my broken life made whole.
See Jesus cold within the grave, cut off from life, our lives to save. We thought that God had punished him, but he was pierced for Adam's sin. Though we like sheep have often strayed, our waywardness on Christ was laid. To heal our wounds he drew our pain, to bring us peace he bore our shame.
Oh, what amazing love! I bow before the cross, my pride reduced to dust. What amazing love! It overwhelms my soul, my broken life made whole. See Jesus once again draw breath and rise to claim the spoils of death. He sees the light of life again and hears his ransomed people sing. What amazing love! Forever I will praise the glories of your grace. What amazing love! I offer up my life, a grateful sacrifice. Oh, what amazing love! Forever I will praise the glories of your grace. What amazing love! I offer up my life, a grateful sacrifice for your amazing love. Your amazing love.
Hallelujah. Let Lord Jesus Christ shine forth. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are joining us, welcome to another live stream with DCCI Ministries. And however you are feeling today disappointed, upset, Please do remember we have King of Kings who is seated on the throne, and he's not surprised by what is happening in this broken world, and he's in charge of all. And tonight we will be talking about Afghanistan and Taliban, and I do have Sister Nada with us to discuss this. But before we kind of start over our conversation, we are always, as always, grateful for our moderators who are trying to keep people in order in the chat. So thank you very much for that. As well as grateful for the beloved ones taking time from their family and friends and being with us. Please, can we not abuse the chat by copying and pasting same message again and again? And if you want to get my attention in the chat, please put @ in front of DCCI Ministries, and hopefully that will get my attention. And our topic is Afghanistan and Taliban, and formation of Taliban mainly. So therefore, since now you know the topic, I'll gently encourage you to try to keep your conversations around the topic, so no one kind of feel it was the waste of their time. Also, please do not share anyone's personal details in the chat. It does seriously put the life of people in danger, or can put the life of people in danger. Please be wise on that. Peace of Christ be with you, sister.
Hello, Hatun. How are you doing, sister?
By God's grace, I'm good. Thank you. How are you, Nada?
I'm doing okay. Kind of a crazy day, with the new developments, with the suicide bombings, more terrorist attacks. Not necessarily surprising, but certainly difficult. Difficult when you consider knowing certain people in the area and things that people are dealing with, and it's a difficult situation. Forgive me if I start to cough. I'll mute up because I'm still getting over a bit of a cough, a little cold, but other than that, just a difficult situation. I actually had was supposed to provide for Hatun, and we're to get together a PowerPoint, so on like that, some certain slides, but obviously there were certain developments earlier today, and had other things that I had to take care of with work and everything like that.
That's fine. That's fine. We will see
I
how the
apologize.
evening turns. So those of I did have you in the past in the live stream, and you've got like you are very much active in social media as well as in lots of YouTube channels. Sister, can you be kind enough and just introduce yourself to us, as well as give us the practical tips if anyone wants to kind of be in touch with you? How can they do so?
Yeah, sure. So I'm NadaVerse. I am, by the way, some people had asked me, no, I'm not Afghanistani. I'm not an Afghan. I am Serbian. I actually I work in the realm of geopolitics. I have with a background in history, and so basically, obviously, Afghanistan over the years has definitely overlapped. It always pops up. Um, I'm not surprised with developments or how things went down whatsoever. However, I am a little bit taken aback at how people get swayed and how it goes right into the focus and the forefront for everybody when no one was thinking about any of this just about a minute, feels like a minute ago. But it is important factor to focus on. And that's about it for myself. I actually have I'm more of the in the background person, assist and help where I can outside of my work. So wherever I can help out. So then I have a Discord server of some really amazing people that are on there that are in the realm of these polemics, critiques, and so there's amazing people that we're linked with. But I'll definitely give you the link to that Discord server. There's a pretty easy link. I think right now the new one is like discord.link/NadaVerse. And that's about it. And I also just want to let you know, I put in a video, actually an excellent video of someone who had put together a video that it really does the whole structure of what I wanted to focus on, which was focusing on really understanding the Taliban beyond just from obviously the horrendous atrocities they commit, but not unlike other terror groups, but just understanding the advent of the Taliban and the
So,
mindset and where we're
um,
coming from. So that's why I have a just so you know on the Skype, sorry, sister, but on Skype I just the latest link, the last link to a video. It's that video, and if it's possible, it would be great to watch just at least a couple of minutes of that video, and then we can pause it and answer any questions. Watch a few more things because it really has surmised the crux of what I want to discuss.
okay, so I will kind of work from this side to download the video and then see how it's gonna go. But while
Okay.
I do that, I noticed that you called Taliban, who is the kind of government in the Afghanistan now, as terror group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would
Mhm.
you use such a term for that group, sister?
I know. Well, it's interesting that you say that because why would I use such a term when technically the U.S., contrary to what most people or popular belief, the U.S. actually has not labeled the Taliban um, as the Taliban as a complete organization to be a terrorist organization. There's individuals, you know, like Baradar Haqqani, other ones that have been labeled such. And it's ironic that these are the same type of people that we went into peace talks with. But and I'll discuss the issue with that later on. But yeah, they're a terror group because they fit the very definition of what a terrorist group is. So yeah.
Okay. I'm just working from this site to download the video for us to able to watch it, sister.
No problem. Take your time.
Why don't you kind of start and then just maybe this one start and then give us the structure of the formation of the Taliban, and then hopefully by that time I will download the video and then we can watch it.
Okay. So the main thing to focus on is this group that came about in the early 1990s, right? And it's an offshoot of the Afghan Mujahideen, which is basically a variety of different groups from Islamic guerrilla fighters to different militias that formed. This is during the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, which was from 1979 to 89. And this is actually efforts, okay, this Mujahideen efforts, they were actually backed up by the CIA and also its counterpart in Pakistan, the ISI. And they were joined mainly by younger Pashtun tribesmen, and they studied in Pakistani madrasas. And so the Taliban is Pashto for students. The name literally translates to students, and it's comprised of mainly of the Pashtun, and actually they are Pashtun. Although in later times now they have incorporated as they have become more and more sophisticated, where the Taliban has actually been able to bring in other tribes into the fold, even though they've been a primarily Pashtun effort. And they adhere to Sunni Islam. This is the Salafi tradition primarily, and this was their effort. They've basically one of the main reasons that people don't understand. Okay, so why even would something like the U.S. have any sort of compromises or sit at discussion tables with them? Um, it's mainly because of their organized state. They're very centralized. Their effort, they know what they want, which is different from the rest of Afghanistan, which is pretty much all over the place, where you have many ethnic groups. However, they are primarily made up of two ethnic groups. Are the two major factions, and they both make up about 37%, give or take. That's the Tajik and then the Pashtun. So the two
Can I
main
just cut
ethnic
in?
groups.
Can I just cut in for a
Yeah,
second?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
so just for the technical side of it, I believe I can play the video. It's like still downloading, but there is kind of, it came on my screen. If you guide me for the minutes you want us to watch, I can play that if you prefer, or whenever you are ready. So it can be done.
Okay. Yeah, that's excellent because this video, although I can't pull the stuff and the certain data and uh, coverage video documentation that I have from like my work computer, obviously, but what I can find, this was pretty much the closest to what I have that I would sort of convey. And so I would actually just start off playing maybe just the first 2 minutes and
First 2
then
minutes.
pause it. And then we can discuss and go forward, maybe watching a few more minutes. But that way we can start with just like that grounding, that introduction.
Okay. Let's see. Hopefully it's gonna work. I thought it's gonna work. It's Why don't you speak until it works? It's circulating.
No problem. No
sorry,
problem.
sorry, sorry,
But
sister.
basically, no problem. And even if like for some reason the sound didn't work and it was just the actual footage working, that's fine too. But basically what I had said from there is that, then okay, one other thing the reason why I wanted to go over this was for people to really understand what we're dealing with here. The old, knowing your enemy. So if you don't understand where they're coming from and how they came about, see, one thing people they think of terrorist organizations as being foreigners, invaders, etc. The Taliban, okay, although trained, comprised of the mostly of the youth faction that were, while the men stayed behind, the women and the children, they were in refugee status. Some went to Iran. The majority ended up in Pakistan, and in refugee camps on the border, the inner border of Pakistan, is where this group formed. These were youth, little boys, to preteens and young teens, and then they were approached by the different organizations and taken into the fold of the madrasas. Main reason is these kids were obviously confused, needed structure. They need to, they're Muslim, they learn the Quran. Okay, and so they head over there. Also, later on, not wanting to be in the refugee camps, wanting a different place to sleep, having room and board. You get taken in by these organizations, which were unfortunately, for different strategic reasons, backed by the West, particularly the U.S., with weaponry and everything like that was provided in an effort to fight the Soviets. Right? Obviously, a lot of these things come back to bite you, and this is one of those situations for the U.S. in particular. But yeah, that's how that came about with the formation of the Taliban. And so they're not foreigners invading Afghanistan. These are very much so Afghanis. These are the Pashtun. This is their homeland. And so for them, they're anti-tribalists. A lot of people know that Afghanistan is made up of many tribes. While I mentioned obviously the Tajik and the Pashtun, the Tajik you've probably heard about. They're part of the most famous that region of the Panjshir Valley in the north. They're famous for the Northern Alliance, right, which was formed by a former, by a guerrilla group of fighters about fighting the Soviets. They were he was very much backed by the U.S., and that was from Ahmad Masood Sheikh. And then later on, now he was assassinated right before 9/11. by the you would say by Al Qaeda forces. Actually, they killed him, and then his son, now Ahmad Massoud, has sort of taken over, and so now it's the Northern Alliance Front, and they Northern Resistance Front, and they want to sort of revive that movement. And actually, the Northern Alliance has been able to bring in other groups into the fold, and for all intents and purposes, right now they're made up of ex Afghan government soldiers, different groups around, and they are basically at the point now where they're actually building a good a front. They're actually very much supported in conjunction with, sorry, I'm having work stuff that's popping up while I'm talking, in conjunction with Amrullah Saleh, who was the vice president, and now he has taken the mantle as the acting president, aka caretaker president, as they phrase it. And this is where they're looking to go forward. They want to call on people that are in resistance to the Taliban to come together and form in this way. And they're sort of waiting. They're waiting for that to actually come to fruition. And of course, the Taliban has very effectively learned how to strategize at this point, and they went to go on the attack. It's very difficult to actually take over this region, the North period, particularly the Panjshir Valley, and it's sort of like a fortress. And what they've done now is they've blocked their ability to come in and out, and they are now on the main objective of starving them out of the area, is what they're
So
working on now.
overall, when Taliban first formed, do they have the same motive with the Taliban 21st century version, 2021 version? Because I'm hearing that Taliban has changed since last 20 years, and this is new version of Taliban. Their motive and their intention is apparently different according to BBC.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they're presenting, and there is a little bit of that because they want to be because this is what they've been working towards. They did alter some of their agendas, some of their processes by thinking like, okay, we're gonna have to find a way to incorporate women, but obviously as they put it under Sharia, right, in compliance with Sharia. And so I think we all know what that means, but most of the world, particularly in the West, does not know what that actually means. They think, oh, okay. So to an extent, they're I think Taliban 2.0 is fitting, only for the reason that means that they've learned how to better market themselves. Are they any less brutal? Absolutely not. And this entire situation where, oh no, what's going on? This takeover all of a sudden. I mean, since the U.S. started leaving, and starting to evacuate the area a year ago, this has been happening. As soon as the U.S. pulls back, this has been happening over the years. As soon as the U.S. pulls back out of one base a little bit, the Taliban comes in quickly, right? And so there's different reasons why some people are actually, I would say about 50%, 25% are vehemently opposed, 25% are vehemently for the Taliban, and 50% are in the middle. I call them the shoulder shruggers. They're just like, what? Like, let's just figure out and see. Let's just play it by ear because it can't be worse than what we're dealing with now. Because the governance that they had, even though there are many that really were very committed to the Afghanistani government, the problem is they were constantly undermined, and this caused a lot of corruption. And so you have a lot of, it's very decentralized. It's an Afghan government, the Afghanistani government, but it's very decentralized. It's and people have to understand there's these factions, and we've seen, I'm sure a lot of people have seen these this coverage of, like, let's say Afghanistan in the 1960s and 70s, right? And they go, oh, look at how wonderful it was. And it was very wonderful. And there are a lot of educated and valuable people that Afghanistan people that came out of that. And definitely fighters, definitely people that wanted to evolve, and they were really, it was a focus for people in the West to go and travel there in the 60s.
So
There was definitely an allure.
in
Yeah.
60s, we get to see men and women are at universities. In 60s, we get to see men and women are in Western clothes and like able to go out at night. Even they've got like pictures of hotels where women are simply sunbathing. It's very much different than what we are seeing now, or what we were seeing like last 10 years. So quite a lot changed since 60s. Before 60s, as you said, like you would go there for holiday. Even like there are clips where Westerners and Afghan people are having like what would you say with that? Having kind of friendly discussions and dialogues and studying together, which we can't see these days, or we couldn't see
Yeah.
like last couple of years.
Exactly. Nobody went there in fear for their life. Let's put it that way. Before the 1970s, before even after the Anglo-Afghan wars, first, second, and third, nobody was fearing for their life. In fact, there was different groups, like there was groups that actually their Shah, right, their monarchy, their royalty, back then, before his takedown, finally in 1973, he actually wanted to help develop Afghanistan. So he called in different consultants to focus on the infrastructure and things like that of Afghanistan. And it was just starting to really formulate as this kind of unified country, this nation. And you had that, but that wasn't just in the like city. So what I wanted to say before is that we see this picture of this like 1950s, 60s, 1960s, 70s Afghanistan. But what we do have to understand is why then people were surprised. Well, the Soviets went in, and they were,
So
they were called in. They had different leaders. And go ahead.
sorry, sister, your voice is gone away.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
yeah, it's better.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, you had these different groups, but the point is that it was it the pictures of the way Afghanistan was in the 60s, 70s is accurate. Yeah,
Yeah.
before the fall of their royal house. However, it's not the whole picture. That's my point. There was still there's a big divide, which is not uncommon in other nations as well. But this is very staunch it was very staunch in Afghanistan. It still is. It's kind of like the divide of the have-nots and the haves and the have-nots. So you had what you saw of those people living, so let's say, in the very libertist state. That was the upper echelon, the upper crust, and even some levels of the middle class, right? But when you went into outside of the urban areas and you go into the rural parts of Afghanistan, there's a different type of life, right? It wasn't necessarily dangerous, whatever, but it was definitely a different type of life. The more, you could say, more quote unquote traditional way of life, right? And so there was a divide then, and there's still a divide now. So what we're seeing with people evacuating, that's the 20% versus, or let's say max 25% versus the 75%. So you have the 25% that they're like, we're aligned with Western forces, this and that, the Afghan government. We need to get out of here, right? We're going to be on a list. And I'll talk about that later with the biometric system that was left behind by the US and why these people either go, align, submit, or you're dead. And not just you, your entire family. So that's what the Taliban does. And that's what they did many times over, particularly after, when the Taliban took over the first time. That's another thing I wanted to mention. When you have Ashraf Ghani, right? Like, he left, and yeah, definitely a lot of corruption, everything like that. But is he all in the fault, all in the negative? I would say not. Primarily because obviously the main component of the U.S. Taliban peace talks, quote unquote peace talks, the Doha Agreement, the biggest issue is that the Afghan authority, the Afghan government, was not part of that agreement. They were phased out, right? They were on the outside. It was like, here, like we're going to decide what's going to happen in your nation, how it's going to happen, and but we're gonna sit there and negotiate with the terrorists, and you're going to sit by and you're going to comply. And obviously that undermined the governing structure within Afghanistan. So people were like, oh, like you're having an agreement, these talks on this global level with the Taliban, not but our government, our president, our governing officials are not at the table. Okay. And so then the US made deals to release 5,000 Taliban terrorists that committed horrific atrocities throughout Afghanistan and the Afghan people. And so Ashraf Ghani, am I completely completely in agreement or compliant with all of his actions? Of course not. But at the same point in time, there is a reason. There is some method to the madness, if you will. When he refused to release these 5,000 Taliban terrorists out of their prisons, then basically the U.S. officials sidestepped that and forced their release anyway. And so, but what they wanted, what Ashraf Ghani, the Afghan government wanted, was a guarantee or some sort of commitment or some sort of collateral to show that we're not going to release the Taliban officials, and then they're not going to come back to attack us, right? But that's exactly what happened. Nothing. They sidestepped them. They released the very people, and what did they do? They came out with a vengeance, and they started going after the very people that put him in prison to begin with.
So we've got. I'm sure you've seen the videos of as a U.S. flight is taking or leaving the Kabul. You've got people who are like clinking on the outside of the flight, as well as you've seen the flight. You've seen the pictures of mom or dads are giving their children away to strangers for their children to live because they can't all live. So they are just like, okay, take my child. I don't want my child to be here. How do you interpret it? How do you interpret those pictures, those videos, sister?
Oh, they're heartbreaking, to say the least. I interpret them as a very difficult situation for everybody all around. The U.S. soldiers, they've been there, some of them for years. Some of them have been there for a couple of generations, father to son.
So
There. And
you talked about there are groups within, there are people in Afghanistan. They are just like saying, okay, let's see what Taliban looks like. Let's give it a chance, as well as people who don't want it, who don't want Taliban, as well as like the people who are welcoming Taliban in Afghanistan. And recently, I was told. This is the humiliation of US and Taliban is doing great job for it. Um, I guess my question is on the lines of what kind of, oh, okay, it's
starting to play.
video is just come up. Huh, okay,
Okay.
so is that okay? I just put the video on. Is that
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that's
sister?
fine.
While it's working.
Yeah,
Sorry, that took so long time. I apologize for that. Let's
no problem.
play that.
No problem.
Do you want to just introduce what we are going to watch, sister?
Sure. We're gonna watch basically a step-by-step sort of well, actually a quick recap, but it's mainly going to explain the quote unquote the enemy mindset is what it's called, right? So it's telling you the origins of the Taliban, which I think is
Okay.
important for a lot of people to understand, and that's mainly what it's about and where this comes from. And it's not always as black and white, and so you kind of have to understand how they came about.
Okay, so we are
And
gonna
so if
get
you wanted to play maybe play like 2 minutes, and then we can stop, and if you have any questions about it or anything I can expand on, and
okay,
then go on from there.
okay. And if there is any point you want me to stop, just verbalize that. Okay, let's go.
Thank you. Hatun, people are saying there's no sound.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pick that up. Pick that up. Sorry. Okay. After I waited ages, now there is no sound. That's just like bad. Okay, so let's see where I need to click for that. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah, see if you
everyone.
can do it. If not, you could just play it in the background, and I could just talk over it. You could just play it in the background. But yeah, give it a shot. See if you can align the sound.
Because video hasn't downloaded, so it's gonna take like original video to download it 31 more minutes, but it kind of appeared on the screen, and in somehow it is not. Let me do without screen share. Yeah, what I'll do, yes, I think we will do on the background, and then see if people are able to just listen instead of watching. Click the audio sound on the. Sorry, I'm just gonna try something.
No problem.
Let's see if it's gonna play now. Are the people able to hear? Were the people able to hear last 20 seconds of the talk? No, I'm using eCam, and in somehow it doesn't allow me to. Okay, I think there is no sound.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, you could just play the actual video, and it could just play in the background, and I can pretty much. I mean, I know all of the information, and I could pretty much just explain what they're showing.
You will be the sound of
Um,
it. Okay.
sure, I know these images by heart over the
Okay.
years, so I
Okay.
have a good idea.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
It's